First off, loose ends from last time. First, I'm going to level up my Magic and Faith, both to 24, and then we need to go talk to Saint Urbane about some miracles.
So the world might be mended. Art thou done? Main thine.
Thanks to you, I was able to seek refuge in this nexus. Now I stay here and pray, along with my disciples, for the heroes facing the demons. If you wish for benevolent protection in your fight against the demons, then bring me demon souls. I will cleanse them and perform a miracle with their power.
How magnanimous of him. The real prize here is the second chance miracle that we get by giving him the hero demon soul. While it's very costly and takes up 2 of our now 3 miracle slots, second chance is pretty much vital if you're playing a character build with very low vitality, like I am. I only put, 2 points into it in the entire game? Practically all of the major enemies from here on out can kill me in 1 hit if they want. Well, while I'm in soul form. In fact, a lot of them can probably kill me in 1 hit, or at least 1 combo, when I'm in body form. So, second chance is going to be absolutely vital from here on out. Here's what we look like going into the next level. You'll notice that my poison resistance shit is back, along with Royal Lotus, and my extra talisman from Valley of Defilement 1. And all of this is because today we're going to Valley of Defilement 2, also known as the worst level in the entire game. One thing you'll notice is that it is very, very dark. Even with the extra brightness that you somehow get when the game is recorded versus actually played on my television, it's still really dark. All you can really see here, other than a very off-putting rain effect, is the unpleasant water. But this too is a clue. Notice that this water is green. The water that we're going to be seeing soon isn't as much of a healthy color indicative of life. It's more of a black, or a purple, or just a tar color. And you know that can't be good for your health. And it isn't. Because what this level is the inspiration for the second part of Blight Town, the terrible poison swamp from hell. And it is a terrible poison swamp from hell. You can tell because there's flies everywhere. In fact, there are so many flies that at some point the frame rate actually dips in the video, and I had to do some magic to make it match up with the bits that aren't quite as terrible. But between all those flies and the massive size of the area and the rain effect that's going all the time, it's amazing that it runs as smoothly as it does. So, the first thing we need to do is descend down to the muck. And we do that by way of, you guessed it, a narrow platform above certain death. There's only one enemy to deal with, though, and that is this torch-wielding Dregling, who has a nasty habit of poking his fiery stick straight through your shield. Fortunately, I also picked up the heal miracle, so I can just pump right back up without using any of my combat healing, or the grass, as the case may be. And right now I'm just kind of looking to see where I am. The way forward is... we're getting there. But I just want to be extra cautious in case there's another enemy. Which there isn't, but at the time I kind of thought there would be. Anyways, from here we can see a crystal lizard. But if you go running straight at it, like you might have programmed yourself to do by now, you won't die, but you'll be in the muck, because you need to lower that bridge over there before you can get to it. Or rather, you have to get to it from the other side and then lower the bridge, because what's going to be there is a shortcut back to the beginning of the level, and basically a straight shot to the end. Which would be lovely if we could, get to it right now. Kind of want to go back up there and gaze longingly at it again. but there are some dreglings down here, and you gotta be careful with these guys because of their lunges. I don't know what kind of crazy dagger these guys have, but those lunges are often fatal. And I think they can hit through your shield as well, like a, kind of like the Shotel. Of course, I could just be bad at blocking them. Either is possible. I just really want that bridge. But we also got a nice item down there, which is, well, I clicked through it a little fast, but that's the Mirrodin Hammer. I'll go back and look at it in a minute. First things first, though, you gotta get out of the muck. As long as you're in the muck, your poison meter is building up, even though you can't see it. And after you've been in there long enough, depending on what your poison resistance is, you will get poisoned. Using a Royal Lotus or the Antidote Miracle will reset that. Anyways, there's the Mirrodin Hammer. I actually believe I can wield it. That is the weapon that my New Game Plus character was using a few videos back when I had to re-record the Fool's Idol and the Black Phantom crossbow guy. Except in his case, it is a Blessed Mirrodin Hammer, +5, using the Faint Stones that you can get from crystal lizards in this area. And also from certain dreglings. There are certain magical dreglings that can give you Faint Stones as well. And the Blessed quality grants HP regeneration and also magic damage that scales with Faith. It's actually pretty handy. And with my current build, since my magic and faith are equal, I can use both magic and faith-based weapons if I so choose. I might make a faith-based weapon later, but we're actually going to be given one in this very stage. And it's a very cool weapon, I think. I was really sad not to see it in Dark Souls. Hopefully it'll be in Dark Souls 2, and no spoilers if you've already played Dark Souls 2 and know what's in it. I'm going kinda crazy because my shipment was delayed. But it's okay. I've got the Valley of Defilement to keep me company. Anyways, this is the only enemy type we're going to see for the next quite a while. These jellyfish are, as far as I know, infinite in spawning. They will drop Royal Lotuses, which is very handy considering you will be under a constant threat of poison while you are in here dealing with them. They can't actually do anything to you from range. You have to get right up next to them, or have them spawn out of nowhere. Yeah, they can do that too. They literally just rise up out of the ground and, or out of the muck, and could do it right next to you. But they will extend their little stingers and stab you, and that will cause poisoning. Well, I'm pretty sure it causes poisoning. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell what's actually causing the poisoning in all this guck, but all I know is that I got poisoned the second it hit me. So we'll go with that. They can hit you for minor damage and poison, but they're very slow moving and their reach isn't as great as they'd like you to think it is. So all in all, the only thing that they're a threat to is your MP bar, because Flame Toss is the best way to deal with them. It's just, I mean, you could go through an entire rack of old spices and fresh spices just trying to get to the first, island in the middle of all this garbage. Movement mechanics in the swamp are much like the swamp was in Blight Town. If you try to just walk, you will walk very slowly, and you can only get up to your regular speed by running, which of course consumes all of your stamina. Or rather, consumes your stamina quickly. Unlike Dark Souls, there is no rusted iron ring. In fact, I'm pretty sure that that ring was created just because of how much people hated this place in Demon Souls. I, for one, however, have had about enough of this. And I happen to know a way that can speed things up through the swamp without eating up your stamina any faster. And it's called the change speed function in Avicenth. So let's just go ahead and speed this up while I'm moving through the muck. In fact, this stage is downright tolerable if you look at it this way. our goal is at the far end of the swamp. The way the place is set up, it's this big, mostly circular cave area with a big fence separating the two halves of it. So what we're going to do is progress along this one half towards a fog gate at the other end. And once we go through the fog gate, we can travel up and around the fence, which will get us to the second town portion of the valley. And at the top of the town, kind of hidden off to the side, we'll find the fog gate that leads us to the boss. Our first real challenge here, other than, figuring out where the hell we are in relation to everything else, will be a series of depraved ones. Or rather, a couple of random tiny depraved ones and a major depraved one. The other thing to note about combat here in the muck is that if you try to roll while you're standing in the muck, instead you will just kind of go and stand there and get hit and probably die. And once again, it's a good thing that I've got second chance, because if there's one enemy that can definitely kill you in one hit, it is the giant depraved ones. Well, on the plus side, I'm never going to run out of these Royal Lotuses. Alright. Here's where the action picks back up. I didn't see the giant depraved one, so that happened. That blue glow was second chance kicking in, but it obviously isn't going to help, because the enemies are not impeded in the slightest by the muck. That is definitively not fair at all. Back at it again. If we go off to the left of where the depraved ones were hiding, we can encounter an interesting fellow. Why, that's a Black Phantom. This is an NPC Black Phantom, not an actual invasion, and he is using the Meat Cleaver, which is an extremely powerful weapon. As you can see, it hit through my shield and killed me there. But overall, the Phantom's not that difficult as long as you remember not to roll, because if you try to roll, you will be killed. Alright. Got some Stones of Ephemeral Eyes, probably going to use those at some point, and Chunks of Faint Stone. Very handy. The Cat's Ring is also very handy, as it increases your tolerance to fall damage. In fact, it basically eliminates it. Well, doesn't eliminate it. It just increases how far you have to fall to take damage, and then reduces the damage you would take at that point. There is still such a thing as an instantly fatal fall, though. And not even into just bottomless pits. Certain really tall regular pits, like some that we might encounter in Stonefang Mine upon our return to that area, can also still kill you instantly, even with the ring equipped. Alright, so let's do this fight properly this time. Instead of simply rushing up to the mound, we want to approach from the side and lure out the smaller depraved ones. I always think of them as dreadlings, but they're not. They're depraved ones. They also drop a lot of powerful healing items, which is very useful. Now, with them out of the way, we next want to get around this fence. I'm not destroying the fence because that'll immediately alert the giant depraved one to my presence and he'll rush me. And we'll see the same thing as last time. This time I was able to get up onto the island without attracting the attention of the giant depraved one, which makes him far easier to fight. What you really need to be able to do is roll out of the way. And that's why this guy was so dangerous in the first part of the level, in the first level, where there were only tiny platforms to work with, and why he's so deadly if he sees you before you can get up here. Also, I should note that in pure Black World Tendency, there are also Black Phantom versions of that guy here with him. I think multiples. And it's not cool in the slightest. So, we regained Lost Soul, and right over here, across this tiny little bridge, struggling a little bit, there we go, is the fog gate that'll take us to a much more interesting segment of the level.